Hey, this is Kris Carney with ROI Property and Asset Management. Today we're here to talk about exactly that, a new property management company here in Twin Falls, Idaho. So Twin Falls, Idaho is south central Idaho. It's a very unique community. We have a canyon that runs just north of the town. It is the hub of the Magic Valley, which is the area that we call south central Idaho. We sit between two mountain ranges. That canyon sits right in the middle of it and has the Snake River going down it. It is considered high desert, so we do get a low amount of rain, but it is a beautiful place to live, an amazing community raised family, and very much ag oriented.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I was born and raised in Twin Falls, Idaho. I came from a blended family. Me and my brother were born to my natural parents, and then through the course of evolution, my dad married my stepmom and had a couple more kids. I've lived in Twin Falls from the day I was born till I was 13. Moved in with my mom till I graduated high school, and then being Twin Falls, and I loved it so much, I moved back here and started a family, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've been all over the world, and everything just points back to Twin Falls just because of how amazing this community is.
Tell us a little bit about your work history.
So when I was young, did the call center thing where we called people and asked for surveys. I've been in the server industry where I've served, bartended, and for a number of years there did pizza delivery. I worked for Dell for 8 years, which is very much customer service focused. People are calling in, they need their problem solved, and you have to have both the intellect and the conscientiousness to be able to serve those customers in a very, very happy manner. Past that, I worked for C3/Everrise for about 8 years, and then decided to move out of IT and into the real estate space.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about your family, your wife, your kids.
So I am married to my wife, Melody. We are celebrating our 12-year anniversary on Sunday. Super excited because she's been an amazing partner. She has blessed me with 4 kids, Jared, who is 19, Cara, who is 10, and twin boys who are 8, Dublin and Scotland. We've lived here in Twin Falls since we got together. We met at Dell. We courted each other for about 2.5 years and decided to tie the knot down at Centennial Park. And she's my rock. She's an amazing woman, and she puts up with me, which for any of my followers know I'm kind of obnoxious.
That's all right. Talk a little bit about your hobbies.
So I really enjoy being with my family. I have amazing kids that like the same things that I do, sports, especially golf. We go golfing every Sunday, kind of as a family thing. We come down to whichever club is available and enjoy ourselves. Past that, taking them out and watching them play baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, etc. I also do enjoy traveling. I have a group of guys where we go to an international destination about every 2 years. The last 2 were Scotland and Germany, and it was an eye-opening experience that really teaches you about that European culture, and once again to understand that there are differences across the world and to be a better person.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about your mindset with opening a new company and all of that.
So I've been doing real estate investing for about 3 years, and I wanted to have a focus in providing a property management company where we have tenants, and there's always those conversations around landlords and how landlords treat tenants, etc. I don't want to be a landlord. I want to be a person that tenant can come to, have an amazing relationship with, and want to stay in that property forever. And if not that property, find them another property to go to. Vice versa, same thing with the owner. I want the owner to be not necessarily a personal friend, but on really good friendly terms where we can have a conversation. I can tell them good news, bad news, and we can move forward from a business perspective and a personal perspective and take care of their assets. Because ultimately, that's what landlords/property managers do, is we're there to fill rooms and help their investment as well as take care of those tenants. Because the reality is if you take care of the tenants, they will take care of you and the property, which take care of the owner.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about the local community here. How is some way that you guys are going to give back to the community? Because that seems to be what this community is about.
So one of the things that I do personally is I'm a Mason and a Shriner. And I don't know if people know what Masons or Shriners do, but we build better men, and we raise money for charity for the kids. The Shriner organization, they wear the red fezzes and drive around on the crazy motorcycles and whatnot in the parades. We take care of kids that have limbs that are not functional, that have cleft palates, et cetera. And we have hospitals all throughout the United States. And that is free to them at no cost. So the Shriner organization is a worldwide organization. And the Masonic organization is their governing body that once again helps make men better men. So in Twin Falls, a lot of my time outside of family and outside of work is spent with those organizations, just building them up and raising money for the kids.
How long have you been doing that?
Over 5 years.
So you're invested.
Very much so. It's an amazing organization with especially amazing people. Matter of fact, one of my tenants right now, I'll leave their name out of it for confidentiality reasons, but she's staying in one of our apartments, and her daughter has been through the Shrine program. And it's amazing to watch her YouTube videos and see her grow, especially with her getting her limbs put in place and built out by the Shriners Hospital. So it's an amazing experience to see that. And if you ever get an opportunity to go to Shriners Hospital, just go through their amputee area where they build these limbs for these children. It's an amazing and heart-wrenching experience. But you really learn a lot about both the people in this community that help raise that money and the individuals that impacts. There's times where I'm walking on an airplane and they'll see my Shriner emblem or they'll see my Masonic emblem and they'll stop and they'll shake my hand and say, thank you. That's not why I do it, but it does make your heart feel a little bit better.
That's great. Another way that I think that you're also giving back to the community is talk a little bit about how you have taken this love for investing and turned these old buildings into, you rehab them.
Yeah. So part of real estate investing is finding the right property that the owner has kind of let it get dilapidated a little bit. And we come in with an investment group and we uplift that property. We replace roofs. We paint the buildings. We rehab the inside units. We turn it into an experience that we would want to live in ourselves. So if you come into one of our apartments and there's a problem and you call me, I'm full in. Like, my heart is there. I want to make sure you guys are taken care of. Whether it's us putting together a short-term rental or a 1 or 2 year contract, I want those tenants to know my name, know my phone number, and experience exactly what I would expect from a landlord. So yeah, we also work with vendors to make sure that gutters are cleaned up, lawns are mowed, so that basically when you drive by that property, you don't think, what a crap hole. You think, I wonder if they're vacant so I can send myself, my daughter, a family member, anybody into that property and enjoy living there. We want you to refer other people to our properties because you like it so much.
Perfect. And can you talk a little bit about why and how you decided to start a business?
So it's kind of an amazing journey. 3 years ago, I invested in a group and it was very successful. So I've been reinvesting. But through that process, you learn new things as you work on those buildings. So 5 years ago, I was asked to join an investment group and I balked. I was scared. 3 years ago, I decided we're going to try a small investment, and it went amazing. But one of the things that my partners needed was someone to manage the asset. And being from an IT background, that's what we did all day, every day, as we managed the various servers, network infrastructure, et cetera. So managing the asset wasn't that big of a deal. I managed vendors naturally already, so I contacted vendors, held them to their schedule, made sure they got the work done, held them accountable to finish the job, and it worked. So that first investment was very successful. And then the investments grew from there. We did multiple flips the first year and have done multiple flips every year since then. Then we went into the apartment complex. Our first apartment was a 13-unit and a 5-unit. And there was a lot of work that needed to be done. These hadn't been touched in a while, and one of the buildings was 100 years old. Mm-hmm. So we had to go in there. We had to put in vents in the bathroom to get rid of mold issues. We had to rehab the walls, once again, to get rid of any potential mold issues. We had to rip up the floors. We had to fix piping. We had to fix electrical, et cetera. So there was a lot that went into that project. The 5-unit was about the same. Needed a new roof. We stripped it and got a new roof on it, et cetera. And then, every month or two, me and one of my guys goes out and we spray for weeds if we need to. We sweep up the property. We just double check and make sure that anything that needs to get done does get done and they're not being neglected anymore. And it's also an amazing opportunity to say hi to the tenants, let them know we really do care about that property. And by the way, if there's any issues, please let us know so we can go fix those.
So it was really a love for everything you were doing that you were like, hey, I think we can start a business with this and help people's lives.
That was part of it, yeah. So because it grew so quickly, we had to find a way to manage that. And I was already doing the asset management, which asset management is the bridge between the investor and the property manager to make sure that that property is being taken care of and performing at the level the investors expect. So as we transitioned into our new roles, I had the idea, when we get big enough, why don't we vertically integrate this into our process? And I start a property management company. And it wasn't so that I could be a property manager. It's so I could teach people how to do property management right, have the customer service focus, manage vendors, and take care of those tenants, kind of like Chick-fil-A does. You go to Chick-fil-A, they do a magical job, which is why I think you see that line all the time, all the way out to Target, is you get that very fresh customer service experience, and I want that for my tenants. I want them to know, if I have a problem, I'm going to call Kris and I'm going to take care of it.
Perfect. So talk a little bit about the stress and how it's impacting your family, and you're basically doing two full-time jobs.
So for the last 2 years, as I onboarded more properties from this investment group, from an asset management perspective, I would get up in the morning, I would do my day job. And then after my day job, in the middle of sports for the kids, I would work on this asset management role. And once again, I wasn't expecting it to blow up the way it did. It grew very, very rapidly from, a couple of doors the first year to almost 300 on year 3. So the natural transition of that is, after doing it for 2 years, I needed to let go of something somewhere. And, I'd been in IT for 20 years. I was okay saying, I'm going to retire from IT and we're going to go full in on real estate. And the reality is I think it was an amazing decision, because now I actually get more time with my kids during the time of the day when they're available. I get to see more of their games because I can set something down and pick it up later. Whereas in IT, if something breaks, you don't get to set it down. You have to take care of it now, which in that industry, that's the way it works. But in property management, whether it's text messages, emails, or a phone call, generally you can, hey, call my maintenance guy and will you go take care of this? Or, hey, call one of my property management people and they go take care of it. And that's really nice to have that delegation factor. Or I'm going to take care of this in the morning. How urgent is it? And just kind of gauge the options that you have. Once again, in IT, you can't do that. Server goes down, it needs to come back up.
So let's get a little personal here and dive a little deep. Did you have any limiting beliefs that you had to overcome? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Absolutely. So before I got into real estate investing, I thought I was going to be in IT the rest of my life. And I thought it was going to be till the retirement age. And for 2 years, I had a really near and dear friend of mine push me to push my limits, to drive me to make a change. And 3 years ago, I said, okay, I'm going to do one project. We're gonna do this. I'm definitely outside my comfort zone. And I know everybody says, well, you must have money to be able to do stuff like this. No, that's not the case. So we actually took a HELOC out on my house. And my wife was very stressed about this decision because she didn't quite understand what we were doing. So we leveraged debt to go buy a house. And it ended up being a triplex. And we got it for a really nice deal 3 years ago. With that, we uplifted the property. We put about $40,000 into it, repainting it, cleaning up the yard, and cleaning in the inside units so that they're actually more livable. It did have a bit of a bed bug issue when we got in there, but we went in there and we cleaned it up. After that, we did what's called a BRRRR, and that's where we buy, we rehab it, we refinance it, and we roll on to the next property. I still own that property today. It's actually part of my property management portfolio. And it's one of my shining examples of anyone can do this. It got rid of that limiting belief and allowed me to kind of stretch past those. I'm going to be an IT guy forever and move on to something that gives me more time to work with my family, help other people grow. And it's stacked into now I lead an accountability pod with other investors and other real estate like-minded people. And I'm teaching them how to do what I'm doing now so that they can grow as well. And it's an amazing experience going from the pupil to the teacher. It's something that I really enjoyed when I was in IT as a manager. I had a number of individuals that are in Twin Falls, Idaho that I helped grow into their roles. And once again, it's an amazing experience. And I want to personally thank Senate Eskridge because he was the one that got me past my limited beliefs.
That's awesome. Do you have any books that you recommend?
So my favorite book, and there are several family members that I have given this to, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it is a book about exactly that. And it kind of teaches you how to manage money and how to look at money differently. And as you go through the life cycle of that book, plus several others, it kind of teaches you more processes with money, and which I really think that our youth had today. I would love to get a program going where we could start teaching individuals that are coming out of high school how to better manage money and not look at it as though it's a paycheck, but look at it as though it's an investment in yourself.
Perfect. And what about the future growth? Where do you see this going?
So I envision ROI will traverse state lines and eventually grow across multiple states. I'm already seeing Indeed. I'm getting calls weekly on how do you integrate a property management company remotely when you're not there. And the reality is finding amazing people. I was at an Idaho summit this year with that Carrie Eskridge puts on. And one of the speakers, Luke Wren, said, surround yourself with A and B people because they're the ones that are going to help you the most, basically. And I'm paraphrasing a lot. Get rid of the C people, because ultimately when you go through school, do you want a 70 or 75% on your test, or do you want 80 or 90? And me personally, I'd love that 90. A people are awesome. I call them fire and forget. When I go to an individual and I ask them to do something, they're going to go get it done. They're going to do it their way, and I don't have to worry about it. If you don't find people that are like that and you constantly have to micromanage, you've hired the wrong person. The reality is get out of people's way so they can do their job, and if you find the right people, they're going to get it done for you, especially if you take care of them, which is hugely important. So
let's talk a little bit about that. Do you find it hard to let go of those C and D people?
Yes. Matter of fact, the younger I was, the more C and Ds that I had around me. And eventually you just have to pull the weeds out. We all love everyone. I have lots of friends that I am very, very passionate about. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to walk away. If you don't surround yourself with like-minded individuals that want success, you won't find success. They will drag you down. Unfortunately, but fortunately, those are lessons that we have to learn throughout life.
Perfect. And do you have any mentors or coaches that you've relied on, and how they helped you?
I would probably first and foremost say my wife. First of all, she's put up with me for over a decade. Mm-hmm. She has been my center when I'm being stubborn or when I'm being obnoxious. Hey, Kris, you're being a pain in the butt. And when my wife tells me, she has that certain look, which we all know what that look is, and I listen. Other individuals have been past bosses. While I was at C3, I had two amazing bosses, Jeff Barocas and Michael Stevens, that gave me an opportunity to learn how to manage and how to manage IT. And that was immensely helpful because I learned that process. Once again, Senate Eskridge, who is one of my best friends that helps me pretty much on a day-to-day basis. And then I've had some pretty amazing parents that have gone through some life lessons that have helped me out as well. So
that's great. How do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more or would like to just sit down over a nice meal and talk to you about some investing? So on a personal level, I am on Facebook and I am on LinkedIn, and I answer my messages. So if you want to just kind of learn a little bit more about me there. For ROI, go to roiampm.com. My website is live, and we have a full management platform there. We use Buildium, and it allows us to go in and throw leases, have tenants apply, etc. It allows us to completely set up the property with all the details you would expect, up to and including literally recording the serial numbers on all of your appliances. So it's a pretty amazing experience. It allows you to pay from that website as well, both pay from the tenants to the owners. roiampm.com. Perfect. Well, thank you. I'm excited to learn more about you and about property management. All right. Thank you. And this is Kris Carney with ROI Asset and Property Management.